Good evening, lovely, lovely people. I hope you're well. I hope you've had a good week so far. Hopefully, it's been nice and productive for everybody. I hope you're well. Thank you so much for joining me once again on a Sunday. You're letting me into your private home. Some of you I know are even at work, and you might be listening to this or tuning in from work. In any case, thank you so much for having me. I hope you're all well. I don't know where you are, but the weather here in Manchester is really mild. It's really, really mild, the weather in Manchester. What's the weather like where you are? If you're in the UK, most probably weather's quite mild where you are as well. But what about other countries? What's the weather like where you are? I'd love to know, because it's so unusual for, today's smack in the middle of December, right? Excuse me. Today is 15th of December, mid-December, and usually it's freezing cold. Sometimes we even have negative temperatures. I remember last year it was around about this time, I think, or maybe early January, that I went and sat in the car and it was minus 6 degrees. So this year it's very mild. Here we go. London was cloudy. France is freezing. Somebody said Iran is cold. Tehran is alude. Oh dear. Sunny in Afghanistan. Good. Lucky. Hello. City is freezing. My city is freezing. Netherlands. The weather is also mild in Netherlands. Very good. I'm very well, Said. Thank you very much for asking. Portsmouth is cloudy. Manchester is cloudy. Yeah. Blustery in Hull. Well, Hull is situated right next to the water, isn't it? So you guys, usually you have quite windy weather anyway. I'm sorry. Glasgow is cold. Iran is cold. Cold in DC. Right. Cold in France. Liverpool is... Fahime is leaving us hanging. She hasn't told us what Liverpool is like. Snowy in Afghanistan. Los Angeles is cold. Yeah. Sunny Fredericton. I'm not sure where that is. Tehran is cloudy and polluted. Yeah. London is cloudy as well. Very gloomy weather. Sheffield is mild. Yeah. 446624M. Thank you. That's very kind of you. Thank you. Vancouver is cold and sunny. Yeah. So a lot of you are telling me that... I'm so sorry. A lot of you are telling me that the weather in your country is either quite mild or it's quite cold and chilly. And we in the UK, we're one of the milder ones, aren't we? Definitely. Birmingham is rainy. Calgary is sunny. Toronto is chilly. Canada's really cold, isn't it? It can get really, really cold. I don't know if any of you remember, there were videos trending on social media. Was it last year? I think it was places in Canada where people would try to pour water from maybe a container into another container, and midway, the water would freeze, right? I'm sure you saw those videos. It was so interesting. Yes. Okay. Gorgon. It's snowing in Gorgon and all the offices are closed. You know what? Unfortunately, I've never had the pleasure. In Farsi, we say sa'adatish nadashtam. In English, we say I've never had the pleasure of visiting Gorgon. I've never had the pleasure of visiting Gorgon. I never say I've never had the honor. I don't say that because we use I've never had the honor for kings and queens, right? But I can say I've never had the pleasure of visiting Gorgon. I'd love to visit Gorgon one day, and I can just imagine, I can just picture Gorgon is blanketed in snow. It's like you've got a huge blanket of snow in Gorgon and it's taken over the trees, and oh, it's gorgeous. I'm guessing it's absolutely gorgeous. Ardebil minus 27. Oh my goodness. Next week will be freezing. Okay, right. I've never had the pleasure of visiting Gorgan. Yes, Ali, thank you very much. Thank you. The next one is very freezing. Solima Cheraki. I'm so sorry. I don't know where that is. I'm sorry. Yes, cold in Afars. So lots of places. Yeah, it's cold. I never had the pleasure to see you. I've never had the pleasure of meeting you. Meeting you. Yeah, we can definitely use that. Okay, lovely. Gorgan is blanketed in snow. Just imagine. It's like these pictures that you see. I'm guessing, I don't know. I know Gorgan is in the north, right? And I know obviously usually it's very green because it has a lot of rain, I think, if I'm not mistaken. So if it has a lot of snow, you can just imagine it's like a picture on a postcard that's beautiful. You know, it's all blanketed in snow and lovely, lovely. Where do you live? I live in Manchester. I live in Manchester. Not very sunny, not very bright, mainly cloudy. Okay. What will you teach us, teacher? Saeed wants to get right to it. Okay, Saeed doesn't want to waste any more time. Yep, I'm with you. Wants to get right to it. Sure. So thank you very much. Thank you for telling me where you're joining from. I've got someone from Turkey as well. Thank you. And thank you for updating us on the temperature and the weather conditions of where you are. Thank you. It's nice to get together on social media, and the internet really does bring the world, it brings us together, doesn't it? It brings us a bit closer. It's lovely. You've got this international community, everybody here. Lovely. I'm in a rush. Okay, sure. So let's get down to it. Right. So what I'm going to talk about tonight, firstly, I'm going to give the lesson, and then after the lesson, because I know one of our friends is in a bit of a rush, after the lesson, I'm going to talk about all these courses that I've put on sale. Okay. And the sale ends tonight at 10 o'clock. So I'm going to go through the courses and I'm going to explain what each one is, what level each one is suitable for, and what it teaches, right? So that's what I'll do after the lesson. The lesson I want to teach tonight, to be honest, the idea came to me as a result of this kind of communication that I had with a lovely, lovely student, right? So this is a student. I'm not going to say if it's a man or a woman. This is a lovely, lovely, very respectable student. One of the students who took one of my new conversation courses. The conversation course that I have for beginners level, Black Friday sale, that kind of thing. The enrollment for that is closed, but I will be opening enrollment again soon for that. So if anybody missed that, they can have a second chance of enrolling. And there was a lovely, lovely student who messaged me one day and said, Layla, I've paid for this course, but I can't log in. Something like, why has this happened, right? I've paid for the course, but I can't log in. Why won't you let me on the course, or something like this? I don't know exactly. I don't think in the Farsi culture people talk to each other this way. I don't know. So I don't think it's a cultural thing. The Iranian culture is very, very polite. I know. So this friend of ours must have obviously been extremely stressed, and I do apologize that this friend found it very frustrating, you know, to get to this stage, and so he lashed out like this. But I have seen similar types of sentences and communication from some students. I've seen when they've spoken to me, something hasn't gone right, and they've become quite upset, rightfully so. But then the language that they use, I'm not sure if this is okay in Iran, but I'm just saying it for you know, the benefit of the students themselves. For students who move outside of Iran, or for students who want to deal with and communicate with, you know, people from other cultures, it's not seen as an appropriate way to communicate with somebody. So if I've got a problem, I can't really blame it on somebody else. Okay, I'm going to give, now this might have happened to you as well. You might be at work and you've been given an email and a password, but you can't get in. Obviously, you get frustrated, right? The first person you want to go to is your boss or manager, supervisor. And the first thought that comes to your mind possibly could be that this boss or manager wasn't paying attention. They gave me the wrong password. They gave me the wrong email address. Why would they do this? Why aren't they paying attention? You might have these thoughts in your head, which is fine. But the way we deal with this kind of situation is a little bit delicate, okay? So if, for example, I wanted to contact a teacher or anybody and tell them I can't log in, for example, this is what I would say. So I've got a few different versions and you can choose whichever of these that you feel comfortable using. One could be, I might be doing it wrong. I might be doing it wrong, but I can't seem to log in. So I might be doing it wrong, Layla. You've given me the information, you've enrolled me, whatever. I might be doing it wrong, but there is a problem. I can't seem to log in. Okay? And that definitely gets the attention of Layla to quickly get on top of that and see what the problem is. Now, most probably that student is not doing it wrong. It's just out of courtesy and being polite that we say, I might be doing it wrong, but, and then this is the problem. Okay. Another one is, I mustn't be doing it right. I mustn't be doing it right. So the fact that I can't log in, the fact that I've used this formula to analyze this data and it's not working. The fact that you've given me this password, it's not giving me access. The fact that I've come up with a problem is that I mustn't be doing it right. Okay. Now we know that you're doing it right. It's just out of being polite and out of courtesy that we say it this way, so that that person who has the power, that person who has the knowledge to try and help you will definitely get on top of that very quickly to see how they can try and resolve the situation. Okay. Another instance, another example, this person who couldn't log on, another way that they could put this is, I've been locked out. So instead of saying, Layla, you didn't do this, or manager, you didn't do that. We don't really like to point fingers because that completely changes the tone of the conversation, right? In other languages, in other cultures, it might be fine. I'm not sure. But in the English language, that's English from any culture. It could be Australia, New Zealand, Canada, the States, the UK. It could be anywhere in Europe. The language, the English language itself, whenever we start saying, you didn't do this, you didn't do that, we start blaming somebody. That really dampens the mood and it changes the tone of conversation to make it negative very quickly. Okay. Now, maybe the student or the staff member didn't mean to say it in a bad way, but it comes across as very, very hostile, very negative. So if ever you do have a problem, if ever, I don't know, you've bought something from a shop and the shop assistant guarantees that this is fine, it's going to work, fantastic. You take it home and it doesn't work. So then you have to take it back to the shop. We would never say, you told me this would work. We never do that. Even though we're very angry and very frustrated, we blame it on other things. I couldn't get this to work. I couldn't get this to work. So even though you, the shop assistant, sold me something that was faulty, I can't blame you, right? I have to put blame on myself. Now that sentence, it means that you, the shop assistant, you sold me something that was faulty. But the way we say it is a little bit different. I couldn't get it to work, or it seems to be faulty. It seems to be faulty. We do have to allow I couldn't get this to work. Very good. I've got people writing it down. Thank you so much. We do have to give that 1% doubt, that 1% chance of a doubt that maybe I don't know how to do this. Maybe that person did it properly, but I don't know how to work it, or I don't know how to do it, right? So that's just one thing we need to work on, if that's okay. Another thing I've come across is, for example, somebody says to me, Leila Jun, خودتون گفتین. Okay. Again, I don't know if this is okay in other cultures, but it's putting blame on somebody else, isn't it? So if somebody has told me, for example, come back on Monday, somebody told me, okay, come back on Monday. And I come back on Monday, and then I realize, no, that person isn't there on Monday. Deep down, I'm very upset because I'm thinking, wait a minute, you told me to come back on Monday. But just so I'm not starting an argument, I still need that person to help me, right? Just so that I maintain that level of professionalism, I say, oh, I was told to come back on Monday. Yeah, so I make it passive. I don't say, oh, he told me to come back on Monday. That makes it very hostile, very kind of like angry, argue. It's like I want to start an argument. I still need that person to help me to solve my problem. So I can turn it passive. I can say, I was told to come back on Monday, or sorry, I must have misunderstood. I must have misunderstood. When we say it in a nice way like this, in some cultures, I guess, I'm not talking necessarily about the Farsi culture. No, I'm talking about cultures in general. In some cultures, I think, if you are a little bit more firm with your approach, then you will get more attention and people will try and help as much as they can. In other cultures, the more I stomp my foot, the more I make noise, the more I try to get negative attention, the less that person will try and help, okay? Because that person can see, ooh, she's very confrontational. What's going on? I'm trying to help you and you're shouting at me. No, I'm not going to help you, right? So it definitely helps if we can just either say, I seem to be having a problem, I can't seem to log in, maybe I'm doing it wrong, right? All of these are just polite ways of saying, I've got a problem, please fix it. Please try and help me, if that's okay. I was told to... Excuse me, Layla, please. I was told to come back or be back on Monday. به من گفته شده بود که دوشنبه برگردم. برگردم in Farsi is one word, yes. But in English we have to use it as a phrasal verb. Come back or go back, whichever. Okay. I haven't been getting this to work since I've purchased it. Well done, Pedram. Yes, I haven't been getting this to work, or I haven't been able to get this to work. Very good. So everybody knows the problem is not you, Pedram. The problem is the product. Everybody knows this. The sentence very clearly shows that the problem is with the product, not with you. But the way you say this, whoever it is will definitely try to help you as much as they can. Excuse me, do you have any B1 speaking and listening language courses, and how much is the cost? B1, I will be, sorry, I've done something to my knee. I will be starting an intermediate course very soon, and I will be advertising it again. It will be ready for around April. But there are other courses that I have on a different website that I'm going to mention at the end of this lesson. Thank you. Very good. Confrontational. Yeah, Nilufar, thank you. So confrontational is somebody who wants to confront you. They want to argue with you. Yeah, that kind of thing. We don't use passive in Farsi. Shahra Mashufi. Thank you. We don't use passive in Farsi. Sure, sure. Very good. You hit the nail on the head. However, these nice ways do not work always. MRA 6067. You know what? It's really interesting you say this, because I don't know if you mean they don't work in specific countries, or they don't work, for example, where you are. I don't know if you're in Iran, outside of Iran. It definitely depends on the language that we use. We can still be very firm. We can still be very insistent, very direct, but using nice language, it still works. It still works, definitely. But we do have in passive. Okay, so Peter says we do have in passive. We do use passive. Yeah, به من گفته شده is passive. Sadaf says. Yeah, of course you do have passive voice in Farsi. Absolutely, you've got مجهول. به من گفتن دوشنبه بیام. به من گفتن. کی گفته? Very good. So that's passive, Peter. Yes, yes. So there is passive in Farsi as well. Absolutely. Okay. Lovely. So that's just something I wanted to flag. When you flag something, that means something might not seem right, or it might have a little bit of a problem, and you just want to draw attention to it and try and fix the problem or talk about it. So I just wanted to flag that. I don't mean any disrespect to anybody. I am a teacher. If you will accept me as your teacher, I'm a teacher, and all I'm trying to do is I'm just trying to teach that if, you know, you're in an English-speaking country, the culture of doing it is like this. Speaking of the culture, these are things that I teach in the language and culture in the UK course. It's one of the courses that I've put on sale. The sale ends tonight, and these are examples of things that I teach, language and culture in the UK. If I have made a mistake, how do I react? If somebody else has made a mistake, again, how do I react? If I'm not sure about something, if I'm really upset about something, if I am really embarrassed, I'm in a very, very embarrassing situation, all of these, every culture has their own method of dealing with it, right? So these are the things, and obviously many, many more things that I talk about in the language and culture in the UK course. If it's something that you feel like you need because you struggle in certain situations, you really don't know what to say and how to say it, this course might help you. Okay. We do not use passive in Farsi. This is what Shabi Javon is saying. We do not say I cut my finger. We say the knife cut my finger. Okay. Okay. I've got, sorry Leila June, which level are you teaching right now? Right now, I don't know what you mean, sorry. You mean this conversation we're having right now? This that I'm talking to you right now is upper intermediate / advanced. Not very advanced, because I do still keep the conversation, that the words slightly simple, because I want more people to understand, but I would say upper intermediate, definitely. Okay, thank you for teaching both language and respect to other people. Thank you. So I'm not here to teach respect. No, not at all. I'm not here to teach people how to behave. No, 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 no. That's not my job, not at all. And if that's what came across, I do apologize. I am not here to teach people how to behave. You are the judge of your behavior. I would never presume to give myself power, but not power, permission to teach people how to behave. No, it's just to make people aware of the cultural differences. That's it. I'm only responsible for teaching behavior for my own kids. That's it. Nobody else. Okay. I meant the current course. Right, the current course. Excuse me. So the courses that we have, I'm just wondering if there are any other questions about what we've just talked about. If not, then I can start talking about the courses that I've put on sale. I'm living in Canada after 3 years. I feel my language deteriorated. Is this normal? When you say deteriorated, your language has deteriorated. I think this depends on a lot of factors. if I'm not mistaken. A lot of people in Iran, they learn English, yeah, so they're very confident, and then they move to another country and they realize, oh my God, the language that I learnt in Iran is very different to the language that they use here, right? The pronunciation and the words that they use and all that kind of thing. So what happens is either people start getting scared and they start retreating and staying back. So they try to avoid communication because they feel like this is very different. Or a lot of the successful ones, they throw themselves in at the deep end, and regardless of how easy or difficult it is for them to communicate, they still make sure that they communicate with people as much as possible, whether it's a voluntary job, shopping, joining a club, going to the gym, excuse me, getting a job, or absolutely anything. So they still stay current with their communication. If you're saying that your language is deteriorating, I'm not sure exactly what that is for. I mean, I would have to ask you, have you been practicing English? You know, if I don't speak Farsi for some time, I start losing the vocabulary as well. I think that's normal in any language. So that might be a question. Are using phrasal verbs in England is a sort of not being polite? This is from Pedram. No, not at all. We use phrasal verbs. The only difference I would say between phrasal verbs and single verbs is that usually, not for every verb, but usually for a lot of verbs, you've got two different alternatives. You've either got one word, for example, like return, or you've got similar to that in the form of a phrasal verb, which is like come back. Okay, the difference here is return is academic, it's formal, it's what you'd use in writing or maybe in a very formal meeting, whereas come back is what you would use in a more informal situation. So it's not impolite at all, it's just less formal than return. That's basically what it is. Language attrition is the word we use. I'm not sure. فرسایش زبان. I'm not sure what that is. Sorry. I think you can find some information on her site. Okay, perfect, teacher. Very nice of you. Thank you. I'm dealing with people on a daily basis. Okay, but my problem is that some native speakers talking so fast with lots of words, unfamiliar vocabularies. Yeah. Would you save this video? I'm recording this video. Yes, it'll go straight on YouTube. That is absolutely right. So let's think about it. If I'm in the UK and I want to take Japanese lessons, yeah, I want to take Japanese lessons, I will either get maybe a course or videos or books and I'll start learning Japanese, or I might get a native Japanese speaker as my tutor, one of these maybe, and I'll start learning Japanese. And then I travel to Japan, right? When I'm in Japan, I'm going to feel like, wow, this is so different to what I learnt in the UK. And the reason for that is what I learnt in the UK was maybe from a textbook. It was from situations that are not real. No, not real. They're not real everyday conversations. I've learnt them in kind of like a, I'm not going to say fake, like an artificial environment. Whereas if I go to Japan itself, then that is real Japanese. It's going to take a long time for my ear, the muscles in my ear to get used to that kind of accent, that kind of pronunciation, people talking so fast, but it will happen. I think the worst thing we can do, anybody who's learning a language, learning any skill, the worst thing we can do is stop doing it. I think not doing something is the enemy of progress. Wow, that's a big sentence, isn't it, for a Sunday night? So not doing something or not trying is the enemy of progress. We have to just keep trying, I think. Yeah. Somebody said something that was really, really interesting. Really interesting. You might have heard of this as well. Somebody said this, that if you're not failing if you're not failing, it means you're not even trying. Yeah, again, if you're not failing, it means you're not even trying. That's big, right? That's really, really big. We start something, we do something, and as human beings, automatically we want it to be easy. We want to succeed. We want it to happen straight away. But according to this person, which this sentence really makes a lot of sense, if you're not failing, it means you're not even trying. That is huge, right? That is huge. And it's the failures, I think, that make us a bigger person and make us progress even more. The number of websites that I created before I got Layla's English Lab, you will not believe how many websites I created, how many times it failed, how many mistakes I made. Oh, embarrassing mistakes I made before finally I learned from my previous mistakes and created Layla's English Lab. And I'm still learning. So this person said, if you're not failing, you're not even trying. Yeah, let's just remember that. I think that really helps. It really, really helps. And there's one thing that I want to say, and I've said this before. Iranians have this, I don't know if it's their genetics or what it is, but Iranians are very, very clever in that their brain works like a sponge. They learn something very quickly, and they're very good at adapting it to make it suit to their needs. So, you know, you guys, you automatically have won the lottery of the DNA, the lottery of the intelligence in your DNA. The potential is there. Yeah, you just need to believe in yourselves. That's all. Okay, right. I'm going to start talking very briefly about the courses that I have on offer. So thank you very much for listening to the lesson. The courses that I have on offer are these courses. So the first one is Language and Culture in the UK. It used to be £100. I've put it now for £50. That is 4,700,000 tumons. It's, if I'm not mistaken, it's 10 lessons, I think. It's a total of 10 lessons, if I'm not mistaken. And it talks about, so it's for advanced students. It's all in English. You get the lesson, you get the audio, you know, you get the video and audio of all of these and all that kind of thing. And it just teaches people what to say and what to do in different situations. You want to go to someone's house, okay? What do? Do you take something with you? What do you say when you get to their house? You want to invite people over to your house. What do you say when you have people come over? How do you invite people to come over to your house, for example? The other one is what I was talking about a few minutes ago. If you're in an awkward situation, you're embarrassed, you're frustrated, there's been a mistake, you're not sure if it's your fault, if it's someone else's fault. These situations that you're in that really, really depend on the culture of where you live, these are the things I teach. This is for the UK. Language and culture in the UK. I can tell you that there are lots of similarities between what I've said in this course and what you will experience and see in America, Canada, Australia, New Zealand, Europe, but it's not 100% the same. So I'm very confident about what I told you about the UK, language and culture in the UK. It's up to you. If you live in the States, if you still want to get this course, it's up to you. A lot of it will still apply to the States, but it might not be 100% of the course. I want to be honest with you. Okay. The next course that I have, which this one is a really, really good course. Okay. It was £50. It's English for Work. English for Work. It was £50. I've put it down for £25. If you think about it, what can you get these days for £25? In Tumons, it's 2,350,000 Tumons. Again, it's 10 lessons. If you think about situations at work, whether you are working in an office or it's an out of office situation, wherever you're working, you still have a boss, you still most probably have colleagues, right? You still have some kind of meeting wherever you work. One of the lessons, for example, during those few minutes that you're waiting for people to come to the meeting, those few minutes, what do people usually talk about? Obviously, what do you talk about during the meeting? What do you talk about after the meeting? You know, other instances, let's say at work, you've requested something from somebody and they haven't given it to you. You've sent an email to a colleague or your boss and they haven't responded. And you want to gently remind them, excuse me, I sent you an email last week, you know, did you read it? I really need your reply as soon as possible. This is time sensitive. So what do you do in these situations? These are all the things that many other things I cover in English for Work. English for Work. And special idioms that we use for English for Work. It doesn't matter if you're working in an office or out of the office, okay? Next, I've got podcast 1 and podcast 2. Podcast 1, again, is, excuse me, 10 podcasts. It was £50. I've put it for £25. Again, 2,350,000 Tumons. Podcast 1, a lot of it focuses on English at work. So in the podcast, I teach you a lot about what to say, again, in those sensitive situations when you're at work. Podcast 2, you've got 10 podcasts. Again, it was £50, now it's 25, 2,350,000 Tumons. In podcast 2, I kind of like step away from work and it's more to do with social situations. So it doesn't just focus on work anymore. It's when you're dealing with maybe family members, but friends, neighbors, people you might bump into outside, either strangers or new people. So social situations, not necessarily work. So that's podcast 2. Podcast 1 is more work-based. More, not all of it. Podcast 2 is more social situations. Okay. Next one is daily conversation with modal verbs. Now, modal verbs are very important in the English language. Whether you can do something, whether you may do something, you might do something, you would do something, you should do something, these all have different meanings. All of them have different meanings. And if usually we need to use the right modal so that we're getting the right message across. We don't want to be using the incorrect modal because the message that you get across might be a bit confusing for your listener. A very simple one is, for example, would you do this? Could you do this? Can you do this? Is the difference in formality. Difference between may and might, which is what a lot of people ask. When can I use yes, I can do this? Yes, I could do this. Yes, I would do this. I should do this. Because in Farsi, we've got the word boyad. And then in English, we don't know. Do I use must? Do I use should? Yeah. So in this course, I try and break it down and I give you lots and lots of everyday examples of how to use these modal verbs. The modal verbs course was £50. Again, I've put it down to 25. It's 2,350,000 Tumons. The next one I've got is 10 Mr. Men stories. If you've got kids or if you know of anybody who has kids, they might really like these. So this is more for kids. Obviously, adults can listen to them and watch the video, etc. as well, but it's mainly geared towards kids. 10 Mr. Men stories. And these Mr. Men stories, there's a video that I read the story just in English. There's another video where I read the story sentence by sentence and then I translate it in Farsi as well. So you've got both options for all of the stories. There's one section that gives you all the new words as well in the story. And they've got the audio version as well, if kids just want to listen to it while they're out, getting ready for bed, anything. So 10 Mr. Men stories used to be £75 for 10 stories. Now that is £37.50. Okay, so that's basically like £3.70 something per story. And that is 3,500,000 Tumons for all 10 stories. Okay. Finally, we get to advanced grammar. Advanced grammar is the only course that I have in the Christmas sale that is not advanced. All of the others that I talked about up to now are all in English. All in English and all mainly geared towards advanced students, apart from the stories. The stories has the Farsi version as well. Advanced grammar, it is in English, but I explain it in Farsi as well. Okay, so it is advanced grammar. The lesson obviously is about advanced formula, advanced grammar, but I explain it in Farsi. So that is where I would call it kind of like upper intermediate level, because I speak Farsi in those videos. That used to be £45. Now I've put it down as £23. That's 10 lessons. That's 2,150,000 tumons. Okay. This sale is on until 10 o'clock tonight. It started on Friday. It's been on Saturday and today is Sunday. So tonight, 10 o'clock, I'm going to end the sale. And the reason why I've done this is because a lot of people were asking me Christmas sale, and this is the Christmas sale that I am giving you. So the course that I gave you, which was for very beginners level, that is huge. That has over 100 lessons in just one course. These that I've given you tonight, they are shorter courses, just 10 lessons each, much shorter courses, but they do have a lot of information. And somebody asked me, Layla, how long should I spend on each course? That has a lot to do with yourself, your study plan, how often you study. Usually for each of my courses, if you really want to learn it once and for all, I usually ask people to devote between 3 and 4 months to each course, because there's so much information in each course. The words that I use in the lesson that you see, but also words I use when I'm explaining the lesson, idioms and phrasal verbs and the grammar and everything. So there's plenty of information there, culture of it, pronunciation, everything. I hope that will keep people busy for now. It'll keep you busy over Christmas, hopefully. So those are the courses that I've put on sale. It is a Christmas sale and they end tonight at 10 o'clock. If you would like to get any of the courses, please send me a DM and I will give you the information of how you can pay for them from Iran. If you live anywhere outside of Iran, you can go straight to the website. All of this information is in my stories. So if you go on my Instagram, in my stories, you'll see the links of all of these courses I've just mentioned. Again, you see the prices in pounds and in tumons, and I've given you the link at the bottom of the story. You click on it, it takes you straight to that course with all the information about the course. Some of the courses also have a sample lesson that you can sit and watch the lesson as well, a free lesson just for you to get an idea of the level and also what the course includes. Okay, I hope that's okay. یه توضیح کوچیک به فارسی میدی چون مدت ثبت نام کوتاه هست. About what, please? SKML3. ثبت نام about what? Sorry, I didn't get that. AF Sav 44, thank you so much for everything you've done so far. Thank you. So yes, please send me a DM if you're trying to get the course from Iran. If you have any questions, do let me know. Remain, no excuses. Yeah, so if you want a course, it's now available for £25, £23, right? Very affordable, definitely very affordable. از کجا به چه نامی پادکست دسترسی داشته باشیم؟ So yes, please go in the stories and see which podcast you want, podcast 1 or 2. Podcast 1 is more about work. Podcast 2 is about social situations. Whichever one it is, then that's the one you can click on the link and buy it. If you're in Iran, send me a DM and I will help you out. Okay. Your pronunciation is really good. Thank you. Okay, شما ایرانی هستید. My father is Persian. Subject course های تخفیف خورده لطفاً. So yes, if you go on the stories, please, the stories on my Instagram page, at the bottom of each story there is a link. Please click on the link. That will take you straight to my website. And do remember, I've got 2 websites, okay? It'll take you straight to my website. On that page, you will see the title of the course, you will see the price, you will have all the information, and I've given you the curriculum. So how many lessons, what each lesson is about, like maybe if it's a video, how many minutes for each video, how many minutes for each audio, what files are in each video. All of it is on there on the website. Okay. I prefer to take part in group classes. You're adorable. Thank you. Okay, lovely. Thank you so much. I've taken over 45 minutes of your time. Thank you so much for being with me. Sadly, the next 2 Sundays, I will not be holding a live. I'm sorry. So next Sunday, 22nd of December, and the following Sunday, 29th of December, I will not be holding a live session, okay? And I'm going to miss you guys so much, but I hope to be back. So tentatively, tentatively, I will be back on the 5th of January, hopefully. But those 2 weeks, 22nd and 29th, I will not be having Instagram live. Okay, I'm sorry. Right. The way you teach English and even speak as a teacher inherently stick English in my mind. That's Alina S9420. That's very kind of you. Thank you very much. Lovely, lovely. Okay. Enjoy the rest of your evening. Happy Christmas to you too in advance. And I think somebody told me that it was on Friday, somebody told me it was an Iranian, a very old-fashioned, traditional Iranian cultural thing that you celebrate. What was it on Friday? I'm so sorry, I forgot. I think it was the longest night of Shabi Yelda. Shabi Yelda, is that right? On Friday, was it Shabi Yelda 2 nights ago? Is that right? Merry Christmas in advance. Thank you, thank you. If it was Shabi Yelda on Friday, yes, on Friday. I'm so sorry I missed that. Oh my goodness. So happy belated Shabi Yelda. Happy belated, because I'm too late. Happy belated Shabi Yelda. I hope that you all had a fantastic night. I'm sure if you were with family, you know, whatever it is that you do, I'm sure, I hope you really enjoyed it. And Merry Christmas to all of you in advance, and Happy New Year as well. Okay, take care everybody. Thank you very much. Bye bye.